Good evening, and we begin here at 5 o'clock with historic breaking news. NBC has learned a Manhattan grand jury has voted to indict former President Donald Trump. This makes him the first former U.S. president to face criminal charges. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. The case surrounds a so-called hush money payment Trump allegedly made to adult film star Stormy Daniels during the final days of the 2016 campaign, and more significantly, whether or not the payment was covered up and records were falsified. Now, Trump has repeatedly denied having an affair with Daniels, along with any wrongdoing. His attorney has also told NBC News he plans to surrender at the Manhattan DA's office sometime next week. Alice Barr looks at how the case against the former president is now moving ahead.
Good evening. 3 sources are confirming to NBC News that a grand jury in New York has indicted former President Trump. At this point, the indictment is still under seal. Important to remember that grand juries operate in secret by design. So until that document is unsealed, we don't know exactly what he has been charged with. What we do know is that the charge or charges all stem from a hush money investigation that Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has been leading, and this all relates to adult film star Stormy Daniels, that she was paid hush money during the 2016 presidential campaign. Daniels claims she had an affair with Mr. Trump a decade earlier in 2006, though he has repeatedly denied that claim. 2 sources also telling NBC News the former president's attorneys have been notified of his indictment. At this point, it is not clear when he would actually turn himself in and exactly what that process would look like. Whether we're going to see a mugshot, the kind of the steps that are going to take place once he has a chance to surrender to authorities in New York. Mr. Trump's former attorney and fixer, Michael Cohen, testified about the hush money scheme to the grand jury. And he said in a statement today, quote, "I do take solace in validating the adage that no one is above the law, not even a former president." And this will be the first ever criminal case against a former president. Mr. Trump, of course, has repeatedly called this politically motivated. He has slammed this entire investigation from the start. He's also called Michael Cohen, who's really at the heart of this prosecution here. He has called him a liar. And we have to remember this all comes in the context that former President Trump has announced he is running for president again in 2024. Polls show that he is the Republican frontrunner, and certainly this is going to loom large as we head into that election season. Back to you.
A lot going on. It is worth noting there is nothing in the U.S. Constitution that prevents someone from running for or being elected president if they've been charged or convicted of a crime. New reaction really coming in minute by minute. NBC Nightly News picks up our coverage at 5:30. Of course, the latest updates are available anytime on KGW.com.
We need to get up off our butts and work together.
Well, on the heels of Portland's deadliest shooting of the year over the weekend, Portland community leaders and activists came together today to talk about doing everything they can to attack and prevent gun violence after 3 young men were gunned down in the middle of the day.
And you could hear their emotions ran high for some of those who gathered. Tim Gordon's here now, and Tim, the group held a Zoom meeting with the media today.
Laurel, they did, and so we heard about their plans to come together and make a difference. And after the most recent horrific deadly shooting, the emotions are understandably strong.
Local pastor Corey Pritchett brought the group together Thursday morning and first acknowledged the reality.
Many of our community are hurting, and I'm hurting, and our mothers are hurting.
Hurting over gun violence. 18 homicides in the city already this year, with 5 in the second half of March alone. 2 dead in a shooting at a hotel near the airport, and another shooting last weekend that left 3 dead near University Park in North Portland, including 2 teenaged high school students.
I want to start off saying I am sad, I'm terrified, and I'm angry with the gun violence that we have here in Portland that is my community.
The recent deadly gun violence continues an epidemic that disproportionately affects young black men. This meeting was about announcing some plans to change that and ask others to help.
This is a call to come together as a community and to bring healing and peace, and to work together to help stop the violence in our community.
Pastor Pritchett is the organizer of Better Portland and a couple of upcoming Stop the Violence events. He will have help from community activists like Lori Palmer, whose son was shot in 2015. Palmer's been working to stop the violence ever since. That took her to University Park last Saturday, shortly after the shooting, which ended 3 young lives. She saw firsthand the human toll.
And I've been on gun violence for 8 years. I've never seen what I've seen. I felt what I felt.
But for this group and all who will join them, this is not the time to stop trying to make a difference.
I'm in this community and sitting at this table. I'm on this call because our children and our families' lives are on the line.
A lot on the line for far too long. Now, we mentioned the upcoming events. There is an online gathering April 4th to get more people involved. And then on April 15th, a Stop the Violence rally at 1 p.m. at Jefferson High School. There's going to be a lot going on there, a lot happening, and ways to get involved. Some youth basketball playing too. More information at betterportland.wordpress.com and, of course, at kgw.com. Laurel?
Powerful, powerful testimony there, Tim. I'm sure a lot of people will get involved. Thank you. A middle school in Vancouver is stepping up security over reports of threats of violence. The Clark County Sheriff's Office says it surrounds Thomas Jefferson Middle School. 2 students there were reported as possibly making threats against the school. Deputies investigated and say neither student had access to firearms, and they don't believe the threats are credible. Both were sent home. Out of caution, the school added increased security and also postponed a social event today.
Developing this evening, firefighters are trying to figure out what caused a house explosion this morning in Northwest Portland, one that fully engulfed that home with billowing smoke and flames and quickly spread to the house next door. Brian Clerkley has the latest.
A crazy scene in a Northwest Portland neighborhood. Flames and smoke billowing into the air, yellow tape blocking the area, and fire crews lining Northwest Mill Pond Road and Burkhart Court in the Forest Heights neighborhood. Firefighters say they got a call about a house explosion around 10 Thursday morning. Whatever exploded started a fire that then spread to the house next door.
One unique challenge in this neighborhood is just the length from fire stations. So we have Station 27 up on Northwest Skyline. Tualatin Valley has a station that's close here as well. But for the further out companies, there's a lot of winding roads.
Some neighbors we spoke with heard an explosion, came outside and saw glass and debris in the middle of the road and ash falling from the sky. They say it sounded like a large truck going over a speed bump. Smoke is still billowing out of the house. There's still hot spots popping up, and crews are still here on scene. A lot of neighbors say that they've never seen a fire quite like this, and they're devastated by the amount of damage.
Your heart is breaking for those people. Your heart is breaking for the fact that everything they own is lost. And so for me, I think that's everybody's worst fear.
Officials say they did not find anyone in either home, and there were no injuries to firefighters. Northwest Natural also responded to the scene and is working to ensure that all gas service in the area is secure. In Portland, I'm Brian Clerkley, KGW News.
Dramatic pictures there, but thankfully nobody hurt. The Oregon Health Authority is pushing back now against Legacy Health for closing its birthing center in Gresham. It rejected Legacy's waiver to close and is now investigating why the hospital started diverting patients without approval from the state. Legacy effectively shut down the birth center at Mount Hood Medical Center earlier this month, but OHA determined it didn't meet any of the criteria to do that. Public Health Director Rachel Banks says this birth center cared for historically underserved populations and patients on the Oregon Health Plan.
Those, are factors that can lead to health inequities as a population, and I think underscores how important those services are.
Legacy says it's reviewing its decision, but for now, will continue diverting patients to other hospitals. If Legacy doesn't reopen the birth center, it could impact its hospital license as well as its ability to get reimbursed by Medicare and Medicaid.
Tonight, a mother is suing the Centennial School District, saying staff did not do enough after her daughter, a 7th grader, was repeatedly bullied and attacked at school. Evan Watson's in the newsroom. Evan, the family alleges the district was negligent. So what are they asking for here?
David, they're looking for $1 million in damages. The question is, should the school district be liable for bullying and attacks at school? A mother of a Centennial Middle School student says yes, the district did little to punish the girl's alleged attackers and failed to create an adequate safety plan for her at school. These videos are part of the evidence the family is citing in the lawsuit. They say the 7th grade girl was attacked multiple times, months apart, which broke her wrist first and gave her a concussion on the second time. Emily James, the girl's aunt who's speaking on behalf of the family, says the social media bullying has been even worse than the alleged physical assaults. James says they're now homeschooling her niece, who takes special education classes for a learning disability.
It's actually robbed her of her childhood. She's afraid to leave the house. She's afraid to go to the grocery store. What broke my heart was doing the research on bullying that leads to suicide and how many children have to die before we change something. Like, when do those numbers matter? Because they're staggering.
A spokesperson for the Centennial School District says the lawsuit involves a minor, so the district can't give more details at this time. In a statement, the district says it remains focused on the academic and social well-being of students and is committed to ensuring they have a safe and secure learning environment. Laurel.